Hi, Mr. Hamad, and it's fantastic to have you on Sustainable Mobility Conversations with DOA. And thank you for taking the time to join this call.
Thank you very much, Damilola. It's a pleasure. It's been very exciting watching some of your interviews online. I like the whole story. I like the idea, and I've seen a lot of those interviews. Oh, a couple of them that basically captures, in-depth analysis of the industry.
Yes,
Good,
absolutely. Thank you,
good to
thank you,
know.
thank you for being a faithful viewer of this program, of this podcast. So that we can just jump straight in. Um, Understanding that you're currently wearing several hats. One of those hats is, leading the team at Edryve, which is pretty much an e-hailing company here in Nigeria, here in Lagos, pretty much, launched out of Lagos and hoping to scale across the country. And also other hats that you wear across different other companies. It will be interesting to just learn about your um, experience and how you even landed in the space of even operating e-hailing business using electric vehicles, if I must emphasize.
Okay, so a slight correction. eDrive basically offers transportation as a service. Ride hailing is just one of the products because we also offer the rental service, the corporate service, the on-demand service, and as the business spans, we will be incorporating, some of the other segments of the business into the whole thing. I think we have 9 segments at the moment, out of which 7 are active, and then 2 are yet to come on stream. Right. So my experience, you rightly framed it and said I wear several hats. Yes, I do. So I'm a risk management specialist with a finance background, and basically an energy manager with project management, you know, um, experience built into both the techno-commercial aspects of energy and infrastructure projects. So I have over 20 years experience in managing energy and infrastructure projects, in monitoring, conceptualizing, framing, conducting due diligence. So capabilities range between uh, energy, infrastructure, agriculture, electricity, and so on and so forth. Now we have process systems capabilities in between that have also been able to. So before this time, I spent a long time at Energy Culture Limited, where I was managing director from 2013 to about 2024. And before then, I was finance director from 2006 to about 2009. And then from 2009 to 2013, I was finance and operations and like that. Now, of course, while at Energy Culture and led a number of projects. I think a total of probably 70 or so different projects, short-term, long-term, medium-term projects. I think we always would boast and say we're part of one in every 10 energy and infrastructure project in Sub-Saharan Africa. It would have our footprint somehow. So this is from the East African crude oil pipeline in Uganda and Tanzania, all the way to, the Sentio refinery in Ghana, where we were project managers and lenders engineers. Um, so we used to say that about ourselves, and we had decarbonized our business. Sometime in 2021, we started to wind down on the high carbon type businesses and started to look at the green, renewable. And so I spent a lot of years arguing against the renewable people. And I would say things like, So I remember Dr. Adeojo would say, oh, renewable is the way to go. And I say, listen, guys, you're emitting no matter how you look at it. If you go to the mine sites, because I also built a good career in mining. If you go to the mine sites, you produce aluminum, you produce all sorts of things. You pollute the environment. So you're polluting the ground. You're doing all sorts of things, batteries, all of the lithiums and all. So I was always on the other side. And my slogan then was the sun doesn't shine forever and the wind doesn't blow all day, right? And so a lot of them took offense, right? So one day we decided that listen, guys, we have come to a stage where we have to start looking at the global trend, and also we have to start being responsible for some of these things, right? We had a project somewhere at Peremabri. Peremabri is in Bielsa. So Peremabri is near a place called Diobu, right? And we had this project, and the team came back with a full report. It wasn't an area that human beings could live. Why? Because oil had polluted everything and so on. And we also saw the magnitude of flare sites and so on. So we decided that, listen, guys, we should do something. So we developed a concept for one of the IOCs under the name Project Green, which was basically flare out all their flare sites and then integrate some of the low carbon emission type technologies within their oil and gas operations. So we did that successfully. It was partly funded by Tony Blair Foundation and the Living Earth Foundation, and of course the foundation of that IOC as well. So it was a lot, and we did all the design, all the electrification, because we converted a lot of the flare sites to electricity by positioning electricity generation systems there. And that was the beginning, right? Subsequently, I became a visiting executive at the University of Business and Economics in Vienna, where I was a visiting executive in the energy management class, right? Of course, Europe, especially that part of Europe where you have Germany next door. Um, Renewables were very, 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 very uh, on the priority list,
Right.
meaning they were very prominent in every conversation. So I started to look at them. I started to look at electromobility. I started to look at wind power. I started to look at solar in greater depth. Started to look at batteries, and this gave a different perspective to my understanding of renewable energy technologies. Um, so I took a class, and basically understood a lot about the technologies. Um, and in taking that class, it was quite rigorous. So I came back to Lagos and I said, listen, I think I'll need to start looking at this renewable energy thing because it makes a lot of sense. And then there were a few of the projects being built by some of the renewable energy guys, the solar guys. This was Daystar was launching, Energy was still doing door to home, systems. Darway Coast as well, And I said, oh, well, it'll be good to work with some of these guys to see where, we can provide support. So there came InfraCredit was financing Darway Coast. Darway Coast had, approached InfraCredit for a loan to scale up their business. And we put in a proposal to InfraCredit and said, listen, guys, we can cover the techno-commercial aspects for you. We can do the reviews. We can do everything. We have in-house renewable energy capabilities, because at the
Yeah.
time we just employed somebody again with renewable energy expertise. The guy had schooled in Germany and, gotten a lot of experience around renewable energy. So we focused on the project reviews for Darwin Coast. It was neatly done. We took everything end to end. We had all sorts of arguments with them. We helped them streamline, and of course, it became a success, and they raised a lot of capital, right? Um, we now decided that, listen, it would be good to introduce three-wheelers because there was no serious efforts around mobility. I think it was just Max NG at the time,
Yeah.
now Max, right? And they were phenomenal because they had Shell Foundation, provide some funding for them, and we did a lot of work for Shell,
Yeah.
so we knew the ins and out of their approach and so on. And we decided, listen, let's try the three-wheeler. So we approached Lagos State at the time, Commissioner Frederick Olaidende and
Yes.
the governor, His Excellency Sanwo-Olu. And we said, listen, guys, we will be able to roll out, our version of the three-wheelers that had air condition, that had everything
Interesting.
in it. So very modern three-wheeler setup. And they liked it. Very interesting package because we had designed the system, and it gave a lot of you know overview as per having to modify or transform the transportation space within
Correct.
Lagos. And this will be done using electromobility.
Yes.
So we had it going, quite interesting. And it got to a point wherein we had to now start slowing down because, of course, Lagos had now invested a lot in the lag ride.
Correct.
So we had to start slowing down. And in slowing down, um, we also saw the, you know, obstacles around, okay, these guys have invested, so they wouldn't want to invest in on this side.
Correct.
We faced a lot of challenges around, oh well, there's even coming there's a ban coming, they want to ban the three-wheelers, so they
Mm-hmm.
won't invest in, and that almost shattered our dreams. Now we pivoted. As entrepreneurs, you would always have ways to move. We decided, listen,
Correct.
guys, let's go 100% to the four-wheelers. And we approached Renault, approached Dongfeng. We had an MOU with Dongfeng signed. Dongfeng had this car called the EX1. Renault had it as it was called Renault something as well. No, so Renault had it as EX1. Dongfeng also had it as EX1, and then another company, European company, had the same car as so the company, European company, the other European company was called Dacia. So
Okay.
Dacia had it as Dacia Spring, and we liked the car, very affordable and so on. It was actually produced from the um, uh, uh, common family module (CFM) plant in Wuhan. This was shortly before COVID.
Oh wow.
So you can imagine what it meant, having COVID come out of Wuhan, and then your entire business depended on a supply that
Absolutely.
would come from
Mhm.
from Wuhan. And we had signed an MOU with Dongfeng at the time. We were ready to make payments and commence, rolling out those cars. I think today, one of those cars, the EX1, is with Saglev. Saglev has his
Yes.
own version, yeah, from Dongfeng, right? So we had that, and this was in 2002, 22, sorry, 2022. Now, no, sorry, we had it in 2021 because we started discussing with Dongfeng in 2020, and then
Yes.
by 2021 they had offered the car to us. Yeah, so we were to arrive Lagos in 2022, but of course COVID shattered everything. Now we started to look at other options. uh, BAIC, Wuling.
Hmm.
Uh, we looked at Lucid. We looked at Volkswagen. We looked at Renault again. We looked at another Fiat. We looked at so many of these cars and decided that we would only go for cars that had strong OEMs, and we would not label the vehicles with our names. We would maintain the OEM's name
Hmm.
and also maintain the warranties, because the moment you flip the names, take out the OEM's name and put your name, you've altered the warranty, no matter what the OEM says to you, right? Unless if you are an OEM franchisee and they
Right.
recognize your, right? That's the only way it'll work. So unless you're a Saglev, for example,
Hmm.
right? But if you're not a Saglev, if you just buy a car and remove the name and put your logo, it doesn't work, right? The
Correct.
warranty is gone. So the OEM has to back you up strongly. So we commenced processing our assembly license, in 2022, and basically had NADDC, Ministry of Finance, Nigerian Customs visit our project site, looked at it, and they were quite pleased at the time because we'd done, a lot of the preliminary work. Uh, we opened up and started to sign agreements based on manufacturers or OEMs that were willing to accept our modifications. So we have our modifications because we are using them for commercial purposes. So one,
All right.
range was a very important factor.
All
Range
right.
was an important factor. The uh, uh, affordability levels and the quality levels must meet at one point, right? So none should overshadow the next,
Correct.
right? These were main factors. Safety was very important. So we had the SAE review of a lot of the designs. We employed a company called Dreka. Dreka is one of the best in the world in terms of vehicle inspection and so on.
Mm.
So we started with Dayun.
Yes.
And started with Dayun, and Dayun gave us a lot of commitments, a lot of support, a lot. I mean, on each vehicle in our fleet, we have 24 months worth of spare parts.
Fantastic.
That's one thing you have to look. Yeah, yeah. So the entire decision to go this way has been organic, has been transformative, has been built on the back of um, understanding the industry, understanding the business. And because in the oil and gas, we did a lot of logistics,
Hmm.
right? In a project, in a typical project. So, for example, if you look at our participation in maybe a project like Sentio, where you have to deal with over 5,000 people at once, right?
Yes.
Or you look at other projects, larger, very large projects. You have multiple parties to deal with, right? So we understood project management. We understood the concept of logistics. We understood the concept of, transformational impact. So basically, introducing something into a market in a manner that would have good impact or serious impact on the market itself
Correct.
was something that, a lot of people didn't have the staying power to
Mm.
experience. So we understood this, the transformative impact, right? We understood that infrastructure is an economic corridor. And because it's an economic corridor, everything left and right of whatever infrastructure you had must be commercialized. So we focused on our charging systems, built a model that required an end-to-end value chain integration. Because Nigeria is also not the kind of place where you would have a lot of dependencies, where you say, "Oh no, somebody else builds the charger, you operate the vehicles, and so on." No, no. You have to control everything. If you don't, then you introduce the risk of dependencies, and that risk is something you cannot handle when externalities become evident. So
Absolutely.
externalities in this case are the guy running the charging station
Vision.
runs into trouble, runs out of cash or something, right? You will now have to bear the consequences of having to get married to another new party you don't know,
Yes.
right? That's because the banks would take over that asset. Asset was actually built on borrowed funds. Uh, if the party just mismanages the entire operations, for example, your entire business is in jeopardy. So we
Correct.
decided that the concept would be to build charging stations and own them.
Mm.
But in building charging stations, we also understood that the earlier idea of having to situate charging stations in every bank's premises was faulty, right?
Mm.
Faulty in the sense that it wouldn't work. It wouldn't work. Why? So there's cable theft in Lagos, in
Yes.
Nigeria generally. Cable theft. There's vandalization. I mean, even at our central charging station, we still have to deal with cable theft
Mm.
outside, not in our premises. But then if it happens outside, it affects us internally.
Mm.
So if you come to our office, we have been able to build an entire power architecture from the RMU receiving grid power, because we take 1 hour of grid power every day, and the balance is complemented by the green supplies from the solar panels on the building, on the carports, and all of that. So we have that strategy, right? Um, if you look at the opportunity, and I always say we have no competition. And this is
Correct.
because we don't have people, we don't have people that are, you know, it's not because we don't have people that are doing the same thing as we're doing. No, us and those doing the same thing we are doing are collaborators. The
Mm.
main competition is actually the desire of the passenger in
Mm.
our business. So we don't want to compete with anybody. We want to collaborate. That's we always say, if you copy us, innovate, and let's move forward. Don't
Correct.
copy and paste, because that's not enough. Innovate, put in yours, and let's move forward. The actual competitor is the desire of the passenger,
Mm.
because what the passenger does is the passenger has three forms of priorities. Number one being safety and security.
Okay.
Once the passenger is assured of safety and security, the next thing they look at is the fare rate, meaning cost.
Correct.
And then third is comfort.
Yeah.
So if you align these priorities right, you'll be able to satisfy the desire of the passenger.
Mm.
But if you don't align them properly, then there'll be a problem,
I
right?
see.
So what we saw was the need to have an identity for the parties driving our vehicles,
Yes.
and the need to actually corporatize them.
Mm.
So you don't just employ people. No, you employ, you train, you teach them everything from etiquettes to driving, again,
Correct.
to technology operations.
Correct.
And so that's why you'll see a lot of the comments. They say, "Oh, the Edryve guys, they're well trained. They do this, they do that." Now, it's not because we didn't know about how easy it was to just employ and give them a car to drive. No, it's because we are actually trying to convert an ugly situation into a beautiful bride.
And
And
I'll say
what
I'll
this
call
ugly
that, maybe that's probably like your differentiator, because that essentially differentiates you from the pack. The quality of your cars, the technology that you have, and also even the quality of the drivers within your platform. Because I've seen your drivers, they are uniformed, and well trained, obviously. So again, that's kudos to eDrive, if I may add that. Mhm.
Yes, so we developed the training curriculum and shared that with the IFC during our early days in 2021, 2022, right? So we shared it with the IFC. After that, we sent it to the Federal Road Safety Commission to make their inputs. We got the most of the training uh, venues from the Federal Road Safety, because Federal Road Safety Commission led the training of our drivers
Mhm.
um, directly. We didn't want, to take the chance and say we were subcontracting the training out. So we
Yeah.
wanted to be involved, and we wanted to ensure that the everything on the curriculum was followed to the latter,
Correct.
right? Now, Federal Road Safety Commission has done wonderful. I mean, the practical driving, the defensive driving, and then we also now internally develop the curriculums for the etiquettes, curriculums for technology operations, for crisis management. So, because some of the passengers, are difficult to manage, and this is typical with every human. When parties are agitated, if they're late, they expect you to speed on, and so you need to manage them. You don't say, "Oh no, I can't speed." No, no, you have to make them understand that you're being monitored and controlled from the office. The speed limits are controlled from the office. You have a maximum you can go. Of course, you can't beat traffic lights. You can't do
Correct.
any of those things, right? So we took our personal principles and basically made the business principle mirror our personal principles,
Yeah.
right? So
If if I- if I if I if
that's
I
about.
could just just briefly, just one question. Um, an understanding that of course sustainable mobility requires like cross-sector collaboration. Um, So from like your experience, what would you say are some of the effective strategies or maybe like one or two strategies that can help in aligning like the diverse interests between like government, private sector, even the commuters? What would how would you think that, this uh some of the effective strategies we can employ to align these diverse interests towards a common like mobility agenda?
Okay, so for example, we're beginning to see a lot of restaurants, a lot of government establishments, a lot of financial institutions, a lot of general corporate clients, even oil and gas companies say, give us a rental service. We need to improve our ESG limits.
Mhm.
Government establishments will say, because we receive grants and loans from sustainability champions, we need to demonstrate that some of our activities are decarbonized. We need to show the effort.
Yes.
For example, a partner in Abuja that said they would, and this would help demonstrate a certain level of their commitment to decarbonization in accordance with the federal government's transition plan.
Hmm.
This is a government entity, government-owned entity, right? So that sort of support system has endeared collaboration, because collaboration is the only way the industry can grow. The financial system has supported us. Uh, Blunt, I'll tell you, Musk, Musk is APMT,
Yes.
right? APMT, we had our shipment arrive with a lot of the cars, and basically we had a lot of demurrage incurred as a result of waiting for the import duty exemption certificate from the government. What APMT did was to evaluate in the real sense of it and say, guys, you've incurred a lot of this. We understand that. We're willing to give you concessions.
Hmm.
They gave us concessions on the demurrage incurred and the accrued number, based on the number of days the equipment and everything had spent within their terminal. And this is one reason why we said, okay, listen, henceforth, our shipments going for, from now on would have to be within the MAX group.
Mm.
So shipment mask terminal must be APMT and nothing else. Transportation has to be them, everything, because they didn't know us from anywhere. But for them, they were in support of sustainability.
Correct.
One, they were also in support of a Nigerian business that is innovating its way
Mm,
to transform an industry that's been stagnant for a very long time.
mm,
I mean, it's easy to build a platform and have a mobile app, and then everybody else comes to plug in
yes.
and start to move their vehicles up and down. The most difficult is to manage the value chain. And
Mm,
that's what we've decided to do, to take the hardest point end to end, which is asset ownership, platform operations, customer interface, and
mm,
of course, the fundraising.
mm.
Because the fundraising has not been easy, has been tough. We've been bootstrapping uh, ever since we started. We've been bootstrapping, we've been borrowing money from friends and family. We're running almost at a loss every day. Why? Because the number of utilization has to fill the
Correct.
optimal level forecasted. Now, the optimal level forecasted for each vehicle is a minimum of 14 rides a day that would generate at least 5,000 naira per ride.
Mm,
So 14 rides per day that would generate 5,000 naira per ride is what you need, right?
mm-hmm.
For this small vehicle. Now, guess what? We're currently doing 6, 7. In some cases, we are also getting to 10, but averagely 6, 7,
But I must
right?
say,
Instead of
you're
14.
doing great.
Now,
You're again, you launched
oh yeah,
in
so
like 2 months ago, so it's the demand will
no, no, no,
ramp up.
about 47 days or so ago,
Oh,
right?
well, so hey,
Yeah.
you're ramping up your demand, and you'd essentially um, with more people, which are you're one of your key pillars, the comfort side, safety side, and
Mhm.
the user experience, which is like the drivers, the interaction with your drivers, that will sell itself ultimately. And you would soon start to see that your demand would outweigh the supply that you currently have. Uh, so I think you should pat yourself in the back and say you're doing great.
Well, so we have a rule, right?
Mm,
And this has been in every organization that I've led. We don't commend the wins.
mm,
When we sit for a meeting, all our meetings, especially our strategy meetings, are focused on what are the problems. We don't want
mm.
to hear, where the performance has exceeded. No, no, no. We're totally against that. So we are only after looking for the problems,
Mm.
and that's it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So we don't accept the accolades for small wins. Winning is making the entire structure problem free. Once
Correct.
you're able to overcome the problem, because dissatisfaction is what brings about change.
Mm,
And if you're able to ensure that dissatisfaction does not exist, then the amount of times you change a particular structure reduces.
mm,
Because if you're changing, you're adding to your cost, either by way of stretching your human capacity, human manpower capacity, or by extending time limits, which would invariably means an addition in cost, right? So what we've tried to do is to ensure that we focus on those segments that bring about dissatisfaction from the customer's perspective.
mm.
So we almost hound the customer, asking, do you have a problem?
Okay.
And of course, we give them free opportunities to um, define what they see as problems, and we also try as much as we can to provide solutions to these problems, either timely or within of course an appreciable frame.
Fantastic. This has been, very insightful in terms of, talking about your journey through like the different projects and how you eventually landed on, running a mobility company. And, for me, it's a case of it's opportunity meeting preparation because all of those things kind of defined how you then identified your opportunity, and that's where you are now. And I'm, really excited to see what the future of eDrive would look like in Nigeria. Um, and seeing how, of course, your solution scales across the continent. Uh, Super excited, looking forward to it. Um, any parting shots?
So the truth is, for the industry, meaning the e-mobility segment of the transportation sector to become a reliable alternative, uh, there must be a lot of collaborations. We're looking forward to a time when we don't need to import vehicles or import SKDs or any of those things. We'll just pick up the phone and call parties like Saglev and say, we need 50, 200, 100 vehicles delivered to us, right? So that kind of collaboration is important. A lot have copied us, a lot, because I think we started this thing. A lot have copied. Some dropped along the line. Others have copied and modified and copied. Uh, uh, and the OEM franchising is a very interesting component of our business. Um, what does it mean? It means that you set up an OEM's showroom,
Hmm,
after sales repair service, and all of that. But you don't buy and
interesting.
sell cars. You don't buy and sell cars. The OEM comes with the vehicle. They sell through what you've set up.
Hmm.
And then when there's need for repair, you fix it. You stock the spare parts and so on.
Correct.
So you're basically supporting the OEM, but you're creating the ambience for the OEM to come and do the retail business and what have you,
Hmm,
right? So
fantastic.
you build the showroom, you build the workshop, you engage the personnel, and all the OEM is doing is to bring the vehicles and put in the showroom and sell.
Hmm,
And when they sell, you earn your fee for providing the ambience, for providing the infrastructure, the facilities for them to sell through,
hmm,
right? So they're not taking any upfront setup risk. You take
correct.
all the upfront setup risk.
Hmm,
Charge point operations is basically our own charging internally. We pay for it, and
yes.
then third party charging. Third parties also pay. So we have Kia Motors, we have Saglev, we have almost everybody coming to charge,
Hmm.
and they pay for it. These are all people that we're associated with,
Yes.
right? We have the spare part management, where we have inventory of different EV spare parts
Hmm,
kept with us. And when your parts go bad, you come to us, ask us, we have it, we can give you replacement parts.
hmm,
We can lease it to you pending when your own arrives, and we can sell it to you, right? So nobody does the spare part leasing. Nobody does
okay.
that.
Yeah, no one.
Yeah. So we're able to lease it to you and say, this is our own spare. We can put in your car to utilize for maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks until yours arrives,
Right.
right? If you've ordered. And this is the fee,
Hmm,
right? So, and you can also choose to buy it and we sell to you directly, where we sell and then replace based on your procurement,
yeah,
right? We have the maintenance services. The repair maintenance services is a very, very important aspect of our business. We're
right.
able to repair every EV in-house.
Hmm,
Manpower training service from drivers to technicians, we're able to do that. The fleet operations, which is the transport as a service business, where
yes.
we offer the ride hailing, rental, and so on. The power generation for the charging, all our vehicles are charged with 95% renewables. So
Fantastic.
that the power generation facility as a business on its own, and we have the value chain cost, and then the cost allocation based on the activity that takes place. The assembly plant operations as well. So the assembly plant will slow
Hmm.
down because it's draining a lot, but then we hope to pick up again.
Yes.
The technology platform services. We have the advert management system and the transport
Hmm,
management system. So every car has an advertisement screen within where you can actually upload your adverts and so on. And then the
Interesting.
transport management system is our app where you have the ride hailing and that sort of thing.
Rental.
So this
Yeah.
shows our time really, from 2021 to date. And this describes our business. We have 103, including those that are shipped. And this is the business model. This
Hmm.
is what our app looks like.
Yes.
We're able to calculate carbon. We're able to save carbon. We're able to give customers reward for the carbon they save, and that reward basically reduces your fare rate.
Hmm.
So we're able to calculate your carbon. So if you look here properly, what you see is, the carbon in grams
Ah,
per kilometer of travel.
I have it. I have
Yeah,
the app.
and we're able to calculate.
I actually
Right.
do
So
have the
great.
app. Fantastic.
So these are the value adds that we have. They
Hmm.
are the main differentiation factors, right?
Wow.
So I'll skip and then look at pictures. You've been here. We're setting up more of these. The central charging station strategy is the best way to go. That's
Mm-hmm.
what we've seen. And of course, we decided not to put them in the premises of banks because the idea originally was we locate our charging systems in bank premises. But there you will suffer a lot of challenges. One, the cable theft. Two,
Yes.
even though it's in the premises of the bank, the entire operations would be a nightmare. So every location must have a charge point operator and so on. But
Mm.
then you reduce all of uncertainties by centralizing the charging area, and then that should help. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's it.
Well, interesting. I think I'm excited about eDrive, about the work you're doing, um, the journey so far, and again, I just see one of the critical things that you had mentioned is the area of, you're actually not trying to compete. You're essentially looking for a way to collaborate. And I remember the first time we spoke, you're clear. Collaborate. Let's collaborate. Uh,
Absolutely. Because see, the truth is, competition should not be a thing of rivalry between fellow industry participants.
correct.
Target the customer. Is the customer's desire that
Mm,
is a greater competitor, right? Because that desire changes from time to time. So if we're able to curtail the factors that influence that change, it means
mm,
we're able to give the customer or the passenger greater amount of satisfaction.
mm,
So if all of us come together and focus on the passenger, right, we will be able to deliver more value than having to rival each other. So for us, one thing we don't want to do, we don't want to compete with ego. We don't want to compete with, part, because I mean, everybody has a different orientation. We are market makers. We're able to design the market structure, and then anybody else who wants to come in can come in, right? And
absolutely.
when you come in, make modifications and build your own differentiating factor or create more value than what we've presented to the table. But again, we don't want to do this alone. That's why there's certain segments of the business that we're letting go, things like the app to charge the vehicle. So we decided not to do that. Why? Because we've seen that a lot of people in the industry are focused on developing the app to charge
Mm-hmm.
third-party vehicles. So we've allowed them to come into our stations and map these areas free of charge.
Mm,
We've also allowed them, and we've given them some form of assurance to support them in building capacities around mapping workshops. The last time we had an industry seminar, sorry, presentation session, we said, listen, guys, go and map workshops. Let people know who has spare parts for EVs.
mm,
Let people know who has the capacity to fix EVs. So map them up and put them in your Apple and Google stores for people to download those apps and have value,
yeah,
right?
awesome.
So that's
And
it.
yeah, this has been great. I'm going to stop recording now. I'll join this with the last conversation to make a robust video.